You cannot interact or participate physically with a painting. Yeah? You only can participate or construct the work with your own head with the help of machines, tools, and media.
The relationship between art and technology has been somewhat of an uneasy one, wavering between tension and collaboration. Traditional fine art fans have been wary to the use and abuse of new technology, and techies have been resistant to the pure creative influence of art. But with phones in our pockets, smart cars in our garages, and AI in our homes, our lives have become inextricably linked with technology, and this shift has become fascinating to artists and technologists alike. In this series, we explore the art, artists, and institutions platforming work that sits at the intersection of art and technology, and investigate the questions that matter, not just to artists, but to us all. In this episode, we feature 3 intriguing institutions: ZKM in Karlsruhe, Tate Modern in London, and Acute Art in Berlin, to sit down with curators and artists to hear their view on the work from the past, present, and future. With a 30-year legacy of supporting innovators and defining future classics, the ZKM Centre for Art and Media and its collection is as important as it is extensive. But when it comes to media art, how do you secure the future of something fundamentally unstable? Curator Margit Rosen discusses this very question with renowned artist and chairman Peter Zweibel and ponders the strategies against obsolescence.
In media art, there's a different concept of authenticity. You never use the same equipment twice for the same work. And so, in a way, we have a certain freedom to keep the concept and the way the work behaves, the way it looks like, but using different technology.
The artists give us a license that we can, in the future, in the next 20 or 30 years, always transpose from one old technical medium to a new one. So that the work is always a little bit changed. So we said, if we are not in the position like a painting, that in many cases we do not have the original work. Art and technology 20 years ago was marginalized and people did not see a future. But today, when artists and scientists share a common tool of media from computer to other machines, it is clear that art and science and technology came into the center of art production and art development.
Art and technology is important for just everybody who has a profound interest in human thought and human creativity, because very often technology is set apart also of our culture, of the arts. But art, technology, and science are all expressions of human creativity and this incredible capacities we all have in our minds.
Well, I certainly, in my own art practice, felt that the new media offered an extraordinary opportunity for artists to take art where it hasn't been before, to explore new aesthetic dimensions, new dimensions of experience.
If you're looking at newspaper articles from the 1960s and 70s, reporting about media arts, then it's mainly in an attitude of mockery. They found it ridiculous or mostly funny. This attitude has really changed because people realize that they live in a technical environment. It's only now that this came to a common consciousness, and so it's much more open, and there's also a great curiosity.
I think back then, when the consumers really started to have high-performance computers by themselves, they really started to realize there is a whole world out there of digital creativity, and now I think this is coming more and more together.
And the spirit of innovation and a passion keeps us moving.
I think what we also hopefully achieve is that we can encourage people to see and to become conscious of also their way of perception and the technical environment. What you have decided to do in this show was to take certain very basic topics like the representation of the human being, landscape, or architecture, and show how they have changed. And I think your hope was that people would realize how these media change the perception of the world and of ourselves, and they might even get more sensitive to how strongly we are determined by the devices we're living with.
Tate Modern is one of the most visited art galleries in the world, and since opening in 2000 has hosted some, if not all, of the most important modern artists. Its international collection has led Tate to rethink how it views notions of international art and has begun to reconfigure itself in the age of interconnectivity. Its latest show is a retrospective of June Paik and features works and ideas that predict borderless means of communication. In an age of tech giants, Paik's work is as timely as ever. Have our technological utopias failed us? Or can we recuperate any of our early dreams? Artist Haroon Mirza and curator Raymond debate whether art and technology can still bring people together.
All great modern art is uncanny in that it presents you a slightly different tilt on normal reality, which can expand your worldview or your vision. And via technology, by using these broadcasts to reach as many people as possible and to bring people together.
Art and technology today, I think it's when technology is used for art in the contemporary situation, it's very much used for this kind of like pushing the sort of rhetoric of the status quo. But then it makes the definition of art quite interesting because it makes art this kind of tool as well.
For Paik, art and technology were very compatible, and he understood the possibility of technology that can enrich our artistic understanding. And technology was not something just a tool, but also be challenged, subverted, and disseminated.
Paik predicted so much about the future of technology. So I think it's really important to reconsider Paik's legacy now because he's such a titan of 20th century and modern art, really. The present is really just the sum of the past, and Paik played such a hugely important part in shaping the past and consequently in shaping the present, that people would be able to use broadband communication to be able to interact with each other immediately. And this technology could be used to bring people closer together, and that was a major aim of what he wanted to achieve through some of his artworks.
I mean, I think what he's made possible for numerous artists is that ability to kind of look at your media landscape, see what kind of changes you want to make, and seize the means of production for yourself.
It's of course important that museums reflect the moment in time that we live in. We live in a digital age, everybody's constantly on their screen, so it feels very natural in a way that we should be engaged with conversations around technology.
Technology has made it easier for artists to collaborate.
Yeah.
You know, and actually, why did making art become a solitary thing for so long, you know? And about the individual, but the technology that's available to us today allows us to be able to be about multiple voices and multiple ways of working and sharing of knowledge, basically.
Yeah.
In a digital age, and with immersive tools such as virtual reality becoming only more advanced, how long will art depend on being shown in only a physical space? Acute Art is a museum without walls, a radical new institution focused on helping artists achieve their extended reality dreams and allowing their audience to plug in and play from anywhere in the world. Art provocateur Bjarne Melgaard and Acute Art director Daniel Birnbaum discuss how notions of extended reality and immersive environments could be the very tools to reawaken our senses and reconnect us to ourselves.
Many people, they talk about, you know, how will this be for artists, this medium, how will this develop? But I haven't heard so many people talking about how will this be for a curator?
I think that these technologies, and VR being the visually most overwhelming and therefore maybe the best example, is a possibility to actually totally disrupt traditional structures of the art world. The gallery, the art fair, the museum, the private collection. All of that, to a certain extent, is irrelevant because it can actually be art for all.
In a way, I don't really know what it is to curate VR exhibitions. I mean, we have produced these things, and of course, we're wondering what are the ideal ways to show them. It's about new visual possibilities introduced through augmented reality and virtual reality and others. Some artists like the fact that they can be shown anywhere because you're catapulted into a totally different area, a different region, a different sphere.
So VR creates this aspect of being teletransported to a different place. You are experiencing something that's disconnected to the world. It's a very individual experience. So we did some pieces here that's trying to connect more people in the same room and do this collective experience.
We have installed this room here for VR, but once you have your headset on, you're in a completely different time and space. And you cannot really share this experience in our real space with the others that are experiencing it with you, maybe parallel to you in that moment. So it is a very special situation that changes the definition of installation.
I think we need to see VR in a substantial art exhibition. I think that VR will become really exciting once it is a part of, for instance, a show or an exhibition with other art pieces. We go from, having 3 masks hanging from the ceiling to actually maybe integrate VR into immersive installations.
So when I think about VR, because there's this disconnection with the actual space, I think the idea of sharing experiences is quite interesting. Not just for art industry, but like for all the industries. It's like you create like something that physically you're not there, but in a virtual space, you are there together doing, can be exactly the same thing, reviewing a project or just experiencing like an art piece.
What I think is interesting is the idea of worlds within worlds.
Yeah.
That you can have both the experience of the social, but you can also have this isolation.
From the viewer side, if you have the internet, you will be able to access these artworks.
Yes.
There are huge audiences that do never go to Paris or London or Berlin or where all the masterpieces are. So I think it's a very interesting thing that this will go beyond traditional spaces, because that I think is the utopian possibility of all of this. It's a democratic development in a way.
Technology has created a seamlessly connected world. A global experience rather than a local one has emerged as a dominant theme in the work of today's artists. This means topics such as climate change, artificial intelligence, and existentialism are the subjects that artists are interrogating, using new tools built on digital technologies. While some artists argue that technology allows us to create stronger bonds with our world, it has also undeniably altered our definitions and expectations of how we communicate and create.
I think that's the challenge. That is really to take the medium and see how far can you push this medium in one or another direction. The technological development is so fast that, in 2 years' time, this piece will be like the Neanderthal of VR. It's interesting to follow something that is going so fast. You don't have 2,000 years of art history, you have basically a few years.